All right, are we ready for the next installment in the never-ending simple project? I guess let's just get going right after this. Welcome back. If you haven't seen my videos before, I'm Rusty Oliver, man. This here is 1650 we've been working on, and I decided we might as well just continue our theme of making it better and cleaning stuff up and work on this brake, you know, give it some love and see, you know, if it needs a brake seal and what we're going to get into. And then that gives us an excuse to pull the floorboard off, and then we can clean that all up and make it nice before we put that center panel back in. And then we'll know that mostly the whole back half of the tractor is good for a while, and then we can continue our happy life. But yeah, this, you wouldn't have to take this all off to do the brake, but since the whole point is I want an excuse to take this off, it'll make it easier. So we'll take this off, and then when it's off, we can make it better. So yeah, I'm supposing, did I tighten these? I think I did, which is unusual. Most generally, I do not tighten the, you know what I'm saying. I don't usually tighten the bolts that hold that battery box all the way, because you can kind of, you know, the weight will hold them back. All right, the thing is, they're 7/16, and they're actually, it would take a deep well to do it. So because of that, I'm just going to use a wrench. You know what? That floorboard is kind of bent too. I tell you, I can't have nice things no matter what I do. Sure. There's one. Come out of there. There's two. A dirty battery. Oh, this actually isn't too bad under here. Surprisingly, this one's a lot cleaner on this side than it was on the other side. But if we go ahead and do this now, see what we can do. I just saw something else that I want to replace. It's never ending. I do this to myself, but let's take the let's take the floorboard off. What I was going to say is we replace this filter before we put it back on, which has been replaced many times, but a lot of people forget about it. But I'm looking at this line thinking maybe this would be a good time to replace this line whilst we're here, because she don't look very nice, like, I guess. But we got to see what's on the other end. If it's, surely it's not that long steel. What I'm saying is, I'm hoping there's a compression fitting on the other end of this line, because if there's not, that's the only way we're going to be able to fix it. It's the line that goes to the priority valve. So let's take this floorboard out of our way so we can assess our situation. Never ending project. Well, we pretty well have all the bolts loose. Now we do. What will happen here? Will we be able to get them all loose? Well, that one we will, because that's attached to the ground cable. And I'm sure we've had that off in recent times. But I don't recall if we've had off the rest of them or not, you know? Let's see. Consequently, if you had battery boxes, you had these brackets, you know. Not all tractors had brackets on both sides, because like this one is a gas. So on the other side, we don't have these brackets because you didn't need them. If it was a diesel, you'd have brackets on both sides, you see. You'd have to have two battery boxes. So if your granddaddy did away with two 6-volt batteries and went to 112 and took off one battery box, then you probably only have the brackets still sticking down, and nothing else. Did we get it or twist it off? We got it. That one was a struggle, friends. I got in a hurry and I didn't take any of my stuff loose. I started to before we ever started the video, and then I thought, no, we want to make sure that's on film. And then I didn't. Now this one is upside down from the other side. So I think I put it in wrong when I did it. There we go. So I'm pretty sure they're supposed to go like that. Actually, it would go like that to be nice, but whatever. Now, is this solid from years of neglect? No. That's good. I might have had this off of here before in recent times. I don't remember. I just don't know. My phone keeps going tweedly dumb. And what the heck, people? I don't have time for that. I'm working. That cotter pin is junk. So we'll table that. Can we get this? Well, sure. Everybody just fall to the ground. Come on. Sure. That should be loose. Now we got this over there. Oh, it's gonna play a game of let's be as difficult as possible. There we go. What does a guy do there, friends? Does a guy just ignore it and leave it because it ain't hurting nobody? Or does a guy change that line out now? You know, which is going to involve custom line work. I'd rather not do that if I can somehow, you know, not end up destroying this while I'm working around it, because I know how I am. I'll probably totally have that ruined by the time we're done, just because. But you can see a little bit of trash that's accumulated over here. We'll clean that off, and you know, before we go back together. I guess let's go ahead and pull the brake cover off, see what kind of sadness we're in for there. Should have got the impact, and then it would have been a lot simpler. Although it is a lot simpler taking the floorboard off to do this side, because it is rough usually. It is rough. All right, well, every so often a blind squirrel finds an acorn, and today I am that squirrel. Apparently I already did this side at some point. It's got brand new everything in it. And it's still got my marks on it from where I, made it more better. So we're just gonna put that cover back on and pretend it's fine. Far be it from us to do something that doesn't need to be done, you know? I'm trying to, oh, there's the third one. I couldn't remember where I put that third bolt. Sure. Also, I checked and I do not have a filter right now. So, I'm going to have to do that later on. I'll go to town and get that, because I might just go ahead and get some gear oil and do the whole shebang. Drain her out, make her go. So. Yep. I like how when it's just enough that you can't do it by hand, but then you have to, yeah, it's not enough to make the ratchet work. All right, well, I think what I'm going to do is clean this up the rest of the way, and then we'll just put her back together and not worry about it anymore, because it can't hurt us, you know. Once that's done, basically the back half of the tractor's good. Like I said, I think I'll get some gear oil, which will be super duper expensive, but we'll drain out all the oil and then fill it, and stuff will be good to go. So that's where I'll leave you just right now, and I'll bring you back when something better happens. All right, so I was hoping that at this point we would have happiness, you know. I changed the filter. It's a black one this time, which Napa Gold. I don't know why this one's black and the other one was white. But got this all put back on, and I thought, we are in Fat City here, friends. We're on the downhill slide. Things are gonna go great. So let's go ahead and change the rear end oil while we're at it. And I did that. And I immediately regret that decision, because when I pulled out the drain plug, it went thunk. And into my bucket went this lovely pile of stuff. Needle bearing rollers. Now, to my guess, there is only two places that that could be from. Needle bearings in here. One would be the hydraulic idler gear, and the other one would be the reverse gear. However, looking at it, I kind of thought it has to be the idler gear, because thinking that the reverse gear shaft was a lot bigger than that, you know, for what these needles are. So I sent a picture to my pal, that Oliver guy, and said, what do you think, you know, one or the other? And he said the same thing I thought, which is that the reverse gear ones would probably be bigger, so that's probably the hydraulic idler. Now, what I'm thinking here for today, I'm gonna just go ahead and put the oil in it, even though that's $200 worth of brand new oil. Put that in here, move it out of my way, and park it till we can get to it. Because the only way we're gonna know for sure is to pull this entire hydraulic unit off. All the floorboards come back off. Go around down here at the bottom, pull all the bolts out. On these, different from your large frame 50 series, your shift lever has to come out because the hydraulic unit actually goes around that. Even though they look similar, they are not the same casting of the bottom because they're made different. The large frame 50 series has a plate over the transmission. We can go look at that real quick. It would probably be easier to use the nice 1850 to illustrate this point, but so here it is. You can see the difference. You have this plate over the transmission, your shifter goes through. You wouldn't have to take that off to get where we need to go. On this one, you would take the hydraulic unit off. However, they're made differently. On these, the idler gear is in the transmission housing, and there's a bearing on each end and what have you. And that's the ones, like if you watch that Oliver guy's videos where he's messing with the 2050, and I think he's even done it on the 1850 and that, but it on the 2050 especially, it would ruin the housing. It would, you know, not get enough oil because of that metal plate of death, and then the bearing would eat in the way of housing, and then you've got a problem because that's your transmission housing. You're gonna have to do something to tighten it up to put new bearings in. The only lucky, happy, smiling thing, I guess, that I can take out of this, on these, the way it's made, the idler gear is on its own little deal, a little stub shaft with a cast plate, and it's bolted to the hydraulic unit. So at the very worst, in my thinking, it has ruined the gear and the shaft, but it can't go anywhere. That gear can't jump out of there. There's not enough physical room, I don't think, between the housing. It's got like a wall situation where the most it could do is go a little crooked, but I think being sandwiched between the two gears, it's not gonna go anywhere. And it's just amazing to me that it hasn't, if that's indeed what it is, it hasn't changed pitch or started making noise or doing something odd, you know. But it, like I said, that gear's trapped. It can't really go anywhere, is my thinking. So the damage is done. I would say there is a slight, very extremely tiny, small slight, probably not, but if we're if we were really lucky, maybe that stuff was in there from like a time before and it never got cleaned out. But I've been in this before and I don't think that I would have left that in there. But at the same rate, the only way that could have possibly happened, that is from before, when I had to put the hydraulic pump in this, we were in a hurry and needed it, and I don't think I drained all the oil out. I just took the top off, did my work, put it back on, and then go again, you know, because you don't have to drain the oil out even to do that, you know, because it's all lower than where you're working. The hydraulic oil you really need to take out because you're going to flip that thing upside down. But the transmission and gear oil, or the rear end oil, wouldn't have to come out. You could leave it in there, and I'm thinking that maybe I did that. I don't remember. So there is a slight chance that that would be from the time before, but I doubt it. I'm pretty sure that, I don't know. I just have a feeling that in there sadness is happening. So like I said, the best plan for today is we're going to put the plugs back in, put the new oil in, which, like I said, we don't have to waste it. I could drain it back into buckets and reuse it this next time. But yeah, what I'm saying is it's got to have oil in it to move it. So I'm going to take it and drive it over to the other, you know, somewhere out of the way here, put it in the shed. When we get caught up on our projects for other people, we'll pull it back in here and we'll take all that off. We'll lift it up. We'll be able to tell immediately when we just pick it up, if I reach under there and that gear's all wobbly, that that's the trouble we got. We wouldn't even necessarily have to take it away from where it is. I could probably do the whole thing. If that gear is the fault, I could probably do it with the hydraulic unit just hanging up above it a little bit. Take the bolts out, take that thing out. I'm pretty sure I have another one of those laying around somewhere. So we could put the new bearing in that and swap it on. I already looked up, the bearing's $15. And then you gotta have 2 of these $40 gaskets to do this. Although if we took it off, I'm not so sure that we'd have to take the pan off. So we might be able to save that one gasket and only need the one that does between that hydraulic pan and the, I don't know, we would find out. But I would order both just to be sure, because you never know. But if I had all the pieces here, it wouldn't necessarily be that big a job. Would have been a lot nicer to have realized this before we put all the floorboards back on, because we had them off anyway. But essentially we just undo everything we did, you know. Take the floorboards off, take our hydraulic hoses loose. They can hang from this unit, but we got to unwrap them from the axle. And yeah, you know, there's just a ring of bolts around the whole deal there, and you just take them out and lift that up. And last time I did that, like I said, it's been years ago, the hydraulic pump quit. I took it out, flipped it upside down, put the hydraulic pump in, put her back down, and went again. So it was just several hours because I already had the pieces, you know, on hand that I needed. So yeah, I mean, it's so sad. It's so sad that I know, I guess the not knowing, you know, maybe that is not from this time, and maybe it's fine and I've been using it. But if that's from right now, for it to get to that point, I'm very certain that it's ruined that little stub shaft, because it would have run on there much, you know. I don't know. Also kind of concerned that I didn't get quite as much oil out of this as I would have liked to seen, so it was low on oil. I mean, there was some out of each compartment, but it should have been more. So definitely we are going to have to address the axle seals on this very shortly. Probably when we do that whole repair, we'll work on fixing that. Axle seals, ideally, ideally another thing I just thought of that needs to be done would be those bottom seals on the draft control links that your 3-point arms fit in, which I think I could probably do from the top, but usually it'd probably easier to just pull the PTO unit off the back, which we could do that too. What I'm saying is there's more work to do, you know, and now because of that I can't really use this tractor. I don't want to cause more of a failure, you know. Like I said, I don't think that there's much damage that could be done, but I'm sure that it could really wear on that drive gear for the pump, or the gear that the idler runs off. I mean, but I don't think it could like fall out and wedge in there and lock something and start shearing teeth off of things. No, I don't think that would happen. But anyway, let's go ahead and put the plugs in and go back to this. Basically what you have, and I should have shown you all that doing it, but you have a drain plug under the transmission, and then back from that you have this screen which you can take out and clean. This is the screen that protects the transmission lube pump pickup. It tube goes in there, and then that screen keeps pieces of your bearing from ruining your lube pump. And then that's your front compartment, and then your back on these is in the back. Some of them, other housings and stuff, they were in the side, but then, you know, later they moved them right there to the back, you see where it's kind of dripping out of. And so you drain it from two places is the moral of my story. And then when you fill it up here in front, and then it evens itself out, you see. You know, it kind of goes to the back to a certain point, and then it reaches a level. It stays when you're running. It kind of moves it back up to the front all the time. With your transmission lube pump. On the old ones, it was more of a splash deal, and that's why, like on those really old ones, it said if you were doing stationary belt work, every so often you needed to drain oil out of the back compartment, put it back into the front, because when you weren't moving, it wasn't transferring back. So I don't know, it's just, it kind of takes the wind out of your sails when you know there's more stuff that you got to do and you thought you were done, you know. So such is life. All right, I got the air pump hooked up here, and you might be saying, why not just use that little shaker siphon thing? I tried that once. Gear oil, too thick. Even if you put the bucket up high like on the fender, it just won't flow. So this is gonna be the way to go. And yeah. Now, there is a test plug, which I have out right now, back in the back. And when it runs out of that, you know you got enough. Right there, see? Can you see that? There. So, we'll have a way to go. I mean, I can't remember exactly how much it holds, but it's more than a bucket. All right. One bucket down. I could leave you here and you can holler when it runs out of there, but it's gonna be a while. really not going to matter if I put a little too much in, because I'm sure it'll leak out around the axle seals. Oh. Oh my. Tighten this up. Sure, okay. So that's done. We can finally put our plate back in for now, until we have to totally disassemble it. Yeah, that's fine. You can actually pull that plug out and check your oil, but I figured I'd spill a lot more than I did, so I thought it'd just be nicer to wait. Well, this isn't really the ending I wanted, but it's back together, so we can take it and move it and, yeah, not worry about it, I guess. Park it in there. It's full of oil, so it's not going to be any worse off than it was, I guess is what I'm saying. We will have more projects to do on it though now. Sometime when we aren't doing nothing, we'll pull that hydraulic unit off, and we'll hopefully only find that gear is bad and there's not more troubles elsewhere, because who knows, maybe it was having a lube problem and that's why that bearing failed. You know, it would be the first thing to fail, I think, if you had something fail, because it's up highest. So I don't know, hopefully that's just not true and it's just a fluke. I'm on the quest to get the hydroelectric working, so I found a couple eBay harnesses, but I don't think the 1550 has any, so I'm still looking for more. I got this 1850 that would use some, so I'm gonna keep looking for more of those that I can snag up, and someday we'll mess with that too. I need to run new cords from the levers. They're pretty rough. I don't know, they might work, but I don't know. It would just be better to do what we need to do. Switches. This switch is bad. This one probably good if it's still making contact, but like I said, that's wiring sorting out. This tractor, we can make a whole year's worth of videos just on this one thing, you know. Now we got to do that. We got to rebuild a hydropower at some point. We got a steering line to fix. We could rebuild the front steering box and get that link tightened up, fix lines. It's just a lot of wear and tear stuff that never got done because it was just in use all the time. And now that we don't use it all the time, we can take it out of rotation, you know. I just worked on this. I found another block and ordered a correct pin. 25 bucks for the correct pin, but that's how she goes. So got that freed up. So everything should be functional pretty well, even though there's some things that aren't 100% and could use attention. So that's how she goes sometimes, but I am going to press on. I got to work on other people's stuff because, yeah, that pays me the money that I need to live. So I probably should do that and not my own, you know. I need to do that. That's another major thing. I guess I'll do that late at night when that's my time, I guess. So, but at any rate, it's coming along. It's better than it was. We just didn't know about all the stuff that was ailing it. But if we stand back here, we get more, you know, feeling of we actually accomplished something. We got hoses put on, we got couplers, plugs. I mean, stuff's a lot cleaner than it was. So that's how she goes. Like I said, it's a work in progress, but we'll do axle seals. We'll do the lower link seals while we're doing that. So it won't be wasted effort. It's just unplanned effort. So yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and call this one here, and I'll see you in the next one. Do you enjoy seeing a basic white man in his middle 30s struggling at life? If so, hit that thumbs up and leave us a comment, because all of that stuff is supposed to help us out and grow the channel, and we can keep making more stuff like what you just saw. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.